Welcome to the Wake Up and Unleash podcast for women who've experienced success but are now in a frustrating plateau, feeling stuck and alone. For women who are ready to take their business to another level without sacrificing what matters most, our health, our family, and our sanity. So, through real discussions and raw dialogue, we'll share tools and strategies to break that plateau and unleash your power and fire so that you can crush it in business and in life. Here's your host, Karla Sandoval.
Welcome to another episode of Wake Up and Unleash. This is Karla Sandoval, your entrepreneur and leadership coach. So this is video number 2, okay? So if you haven't seen the first video, you definitely want to go and watch it, where we broke down all about branding and the beginning of marketing. However, even if you haven't seen it, I promise you the information that I'm going to deliver here right now, it could be its stand alone, okay? But this is going to layer from the last video, okay? Now, if you're kind of like, wait, this is a very different podcast, Karla. Yes, let me explain to you why I decided to do this podcast like this. This morning when I was walking my dog, Luna, you know that every morning I walk her, and it gives me a lot of time to think. And I was reflecting on my week, and I realized that last week I did a class. I've been the director of the Dr. David's Multicultural Entrepreneur Program, partnered with USC. It is one long name. And I've been the director and teaching there for 10 years. So for 10 years, I have been teaching women on how to grow and scale their businesses. And one of the things that I realized the last time that I did the class was that there was some missing. Like I was explaining in the last video, that when an entrepreneur sees that their business is not doing as good as they would like it to be doing, or as good as they know it could be doing, we hurt. Just like we see our child sick with the fever, even though I'm not sick, I'm hurting because he is something important in my life. Same with our business. So something inside of me was like, Karla, pivot your lesson. I have been teaching this marketing lesson for many years. I pretty much know it's a great lesson, but something inside of me said these women need something different. And I pivot the lesson and I gave them my fire. At the end of it, I was like, oh, I hope I didn't scare them. Okay. And it was completely the contrary. People reached out and they're like, oh my gosh, I wish we had more time. And so as I was walking Luna today is my podcast recording day. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do something different. And if you're looking on YouTube and you're like, this is not like a very awesome setup, Karla. Well, guess what? Done is better than perfect. Okay. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, you're going to be like, yes, this is a whiteboard that we use for my child's homework. Okay. But I was like, I'm going to use it because I really want to contribute this to you because I am certain that these concepts are going to help you. Okay. So I'm not going to repeat video number 1 or audio number 1. Go back and listen to it. But what I will say is that what we're going to talk about now is the first video was all about the concepts of scaling and why there are gaps in your business, why you're not scaling, why you're not growing. Okay. That's what that was all about. Now we're going to talk about, now that you understand the concepts and the ways that you can correct that, we're going to now talk about how can you market yourself in a way where it's going to create a lot of buzz. So here's what I want you to think. First and foremost, okay, you want to think about this. When it comes to marketing, okay, one of the big mistakes, and I've done them myself, okay, is that we assume that people know who we are. We assume that people know what we sell, what we're about, because let's be honest, we're so involved in the business. Maybe you've been planning things for a while. You've been talking to some people about certain things that you feel like, yeah, people know. But here's the reality. Most people don't know what you do. Don't know that you even exist. Okay. So here's what you want to make sure that you do. Number 1, write this down. When you're doing your marketing, meaning you're putting out a message, I don't care what it is, social media, a brochure, whatever. Okay. These are some concepts you want to make sure that you have in mind. Number 1 is that people don't know who you are. Okay. Number 1 is that people don't know who you are. Okay. That they don't know who you are. In other words, you need to tell them. What did I do with this video? Like, I've been the director of a multicultural entrepreneur program for 10 years. I have been helping entrepreneurs grow and scale their businesses, right? So like, I kind of told you a little bit about who I was. Okay. Number 2, people don't know what you do. Now, I'm going to share something with you. Okay. I have been coaching entrepreneurs for years, but I will be the first one to admit that like, it's not like people knew that I was doing this, but that they didn't know that I could do that for them, right? Like it wasn't until I was I can help you. Like if you have questions, reach out. If you want help, if you want coaching, if you want strategies, reach out. Before it's like, it's like if you're a personal trainer and you're going to the gym all the time and you're like, how come nobody asked me to be, because you're not telling them that you train. They see, yeah, but they see me going to the gym. Yes, honey. They see you. They're like, oh, wow, she's really like dedicated, but they don't know that you're posting because you are a personal trainer. Now, some will ask you, but the majority won't. But if you tell them who you are and what you do, they're like, oh, okay. Number 3, you want to make sure you communicate to them how things work, how it works. Okay. Number 4, you want to assume that people don't have a lot of time. In other words, you don't want to talk to them for 5,000 hours about who you are, what you do, and how it works. Okay? How it works. So you want to make sure that you get to the point, that you're like, I don't want to say like an elevator pitch, but like that's kind of what I'm thinking right now, right? It's like you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, your materials, your bio on your Instagram, your Facebook, when people come into your shop, I remember, my brick and mortar business, people will be like, what is this? And I'm like, hello? Well, yes, because I'm in there. But it wasn't until I put posters of smoothies and the protein waffles and the protein donuts on the windows that people knew, oh, that's what they are. Why? Because with very little time, they got the message. Okay? And then last but not least, you want to keep things simple. In other words, don't complicate it. Pretend you're talking between a 3rd and a 5th grader. Don't get all crazy with terminology and wanting to sound super intellectual and intelligent. Let me tell you something. The most intelligent people take the most complicated things and they make it simple. So if you really want to sound intelligent, keep it simple. Okay. I hate this word, but I'm going to say it. Dumb it down. Okay. I don't like saying that, but I think you get the idea. It's like dumb things down. Like, like with the book, like, mathematical calculus for dummies or things like that. It's like, oh yeah, not that you're a dummy, but you're like, oh, this book's going to make things understandable. Okay. So when you're marketing, you want to keep these things in mind. Okay. People don't know who you are. So when you're marketing something, you want to make sure that people don't know who you are, that don't know what you do, don't know how it works, don't have time to like hear the whole spiel. So you got to get to the point and you got to keep things simple. Okay. Write this down. Clear beats clever. Write that down. Clear beats clever. Don't be clever. Be clear. And deletion, meaning delete things, beats explanation. If you have to explain something, you might as well delete it or simplify it. Okay? Make sure you keep things easy to understand. So now that we got that out of the way, now here's what we want to do. So now you're like, okay, Karla, I got it. I'm going to make sure people know who I am, what I do, how it works, and then keep it simple and keep it precise, right? Now, here's when it comes to marketing, there's only a few ways that you can actually promote yourself. So I'm going to break this down because this is something that I feel like the ladies at the program are like, oh my gosh, here's what you want to know. Okay. Number 1, there's only really like 4 ways to see this. Okay. The first one is you can do 1-to-1, like business to business, me to you, etc. Right? And then there's 1-to-many. In other words, me to a lot of people, like this platform, right? It's me, and this is on YouTube, or if you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Tunes, like it's me to many, right? Then we have the people that you know, the warm market, and then the people that you don't know, the cold market. Okay? Now, these are the ways that we promote. And really, there's only a couple of things you can do. You can either do, okay, so let's put that there. You can either do one-to-one with people that you know, okay, or one-to-one with people that what? You don't know. Then you have one-to-many, the people that you know, and then one-to-many to the people that you what? Don't know. And these are the only 4 ways that you can really market to people. Okay? So you can either do one-to-one, people that you know, one-to-one, warm market, one-to-one, people that you don't know, advertising, publicity, etc. Right? One-to-many, people that you know in your followers here on Instagram. All you amazing subscribers, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, right? Hit the bell button so that we know to notify you. Okay? This is one-to-many, the people that I know, right? And then one-to-many, the people that we don't know. All of you who haven't subscribed yet, right? That's you too. It's like one-to-many to the people that I don't know yet, because I know you're going to subscribe, right? So these are the ways to market. So I want to ask you something that I asked the ladies in the program. I said, so just play along with me, okay? I said, okay, ladies, knowing this, okay, I want to ask you something. How many of you really, really, like no kidding, you really, really want, and listen, I'm playing along too, okay? Really, really like want to grow your business. Like no kidding, you want to like grow, scale, make a lot of money, have a huge impact. How many of you guys really, really want that for yourselves and your business? If I said hands to the camera, right? So if you're here, just hands, say me. I said, okay. I raised my hand too. And I said, okay, knowing that, how many of us, and I'm going to include myself, how many of us are really, really spending every single day 2 to 4 hours a day marketing our business? Not one hand went up. And before I really understood the power of this, I would have been one of them as well. Okay. Because I'm not going to say, oh yeah, I've had it all figured out. No. Right. Like when I heard this, I was like, yeah, duh. Right. So it's like, okay, so if we really want to grow our business, then why are we not doing the things that are going to help it grow? The only way you are really going to scale and grow your business is by really pouring into your business. And so I asked him, I was like a little feisty, I think, I was like, ladies, like you want to think more, like how can we create more? You want to make sure that you understand that when you're pouring into your business, it's not a waste of time. So ask yourself, regardless of what your marketing strategy is it social media? Are you posting every day? Is it ads? Are you having ads out there every day, right? Like what are you doing? And here's the thing I'm going to tell you that it took me a while to really understand. So I'm going to share with you is that a lot of us would want to think, yeah, let's do some advertising and things like that. But the question is, if people hit on your ad or hit on your advertising and then they go and see your profile or they Google you, what are they going to find? Because the reality is we live in a world where people literally have information at their fingertips. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, yes, Karla, I want to grow my business, but let me be honest, I haven't been doing a lot of marketing. Here's what I'm going to invite you. I'm going to give you some action steps before we go to the next subject. Something in my heart tells me to tell you this. And that is that you want to make sure that you really pour into your presence online. Like make sure if you have a brick and mortar business, are you set up with Google Maps? Are you set up with Yelp? I'm like, is there a presence of your business online? Because guess what? When somebody wants to search for something, they go on Google and they search, like, for example, a coffee shop. Do you pop up? Right? These little things, like, don't worry about the flowers that you're missing on your wall right here, right? It's like, am I online? Have I done all the things that I know I need to do? But because I get it, when you're a business owner, you're doing everything. I get it. Trust me. In the last video, I talked about how as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we most of the time do everything, right? We have to be 3 things: the manager, the business owner, the entrepreneur, and the technician. the entrepreneur is that visionary person, right? We have to have vision. We are always innovating, but we also have to have a manager inside of us, somebody who's organized, keep things in order, right? And then we have the technician, somebody that actually gets the work done. And so we have to be all three, although we thrive in one of those three, and then we're lacking in one of those three. And the reality is, when we are first starting our business, we are all of that, and the janitor, and we're everything. Okay, so I get it, but here's what I will tell you: if you don't take time to work on your business, and all you're doing is working in your business, you're gonna hit a cap. Okay, one of the things I talked about in the last video was that your business has a constraint, and it will not grow past that constraint. And that constraint can be your lack of marketing online, right? Like, a lot of businesses will thrive and get more clients just by being online on Google, on Yelp, etc. Right? So think about that for yourself. Number one, do I have that? If not, if you don't have a brick and mortar business, and even if you do, you want to start to think about, how can I start putting more stuff out there on social media, on Facebook, like on whatever platforms, on TikTok, on all these things. How can I put more of that? How can I get better at that? And please don't be like me. For a while, I was like, I don't understand this TikTok, right? And listen, it wasn't that I didn't understand it, is that I hadn't made the time to understand it. Because let me tell you something, it's kind of, they're all the same, almost. And they're different, but you post, you write, or whatever, and then you hit to submit it, right? So if you know how to do one thing on Facebook or Instagram, you can figure out on the other ones. So it took me a while. I'm not going to lie. I was like, this TikTok thing is just about dancing. I'm not really a dancer, although I can dance. Okay. But I think you would know what I'm saying. So think about, how can you have more presence online? Why? Because guess what? If you're doing flyers, ads, brochures, mixers, if you're going out to network, people are then going to look you up. And the question is, what are they going to find? And if you have like a presence, if your Facebook or your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever you're using only has one picture, I'm going to be like, yeah, I'm going to go to another coffee shop. But if you have all these beautiful pictures and you have this ambiance and this energy in your social media presence, I'm like, I want to go check it out, right? So I cannot stress this enough. Before you go out and spend a gazillion dollars, start by doing the basics. Start by making sure that you have a presence, I'm sorry to say this, but this is the world we live in today. Okay. You need to have a presence online, especially if you're somebody who's doing online businesses. Okay. I always crack up when somebody's like, I am a marketing expert. And then I go look at their social media. I'm like, why don't you start with yourself? I mean, I don't say that, but I think that or they're like, I'm a social media person. And then I'll go on their social media and I'm like, why don't you do that to yourself? Okay. I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay. So the point is, start with the basics. Now, once you understand, okay, I'm going to have one-on-one, one-to-many, one-on-one by the people that we know. Ask yourself, how can I do more of this? Okay. For example, maybe you can start to think about, how can you advertise more with the clients that you already have? Right? Whether it's on, if you have a brick and mortar, how many people are coming into your shop? How can you give them, in the last video, I gave you some examples, but it's like, how can you give them an opportunity to recommend your business? If you're here online and you're thinking, okay, you know what? It's like one-to-one. Can you have a conversation with people in the DM and then build that rapport, right? And get to know each other. Maybe, have a Zoom call and then do business, right? Warm things up. Then you have one-to-one people that you don't know. Maybe you start reaching out to other businesses and say, hey, whatever your business is, this is what I'm doing. And you're going to B2B businesses. Start to get creative. Okay. Don't think like, oh my gosh, the economy is not doing good. Listen, the economy is going to do what it's going to do, but you have complete control in your hands on what you can do, right? Then we've got one-to-many people that you know. Use these platforms to voice your message out to the world. Then you've got one-to-many, the people that you don't know. These two need to be kind of like, I don't want to say the last to do, but if you are not nailing these, okay, guess what? When you invest, because these are investments, you got to put money in like advertising here, right? Because there's two people that you don't know. If you are pouring money into things, but you're not your foundation is not solid, this is not going to yield the result that you're really looking for. And then you're going to lose a lot of money. So you want to make sure that you think about that. Okay. Now, here's what I'm going to share with you. Now that you're like, okay, Karla, I got it. More. Okay, the last video, you'll understand why I'm saying this. More. Did I say more? I said more. I'm not going to tell you what that means because you got to go watch that video because I'm not going to repeat myself. Okay. So now here's the question. Now I got all these things. Okay, Karla, I got it. I'm going to do some marketing and things like that. Now, the question that a lot of us then have is, how do I communicate what I'm selling? How do I communicate what I'm doing? Here's what I'm going to show you. Okay. And we all understand this is that you want to make sure that you bring value to people. Okay. Now, but here's the question. What does that mean? Really? What does that really mean? Okay. So I'm going to explain to you. When I say bring value to people, it's almost like you want to have people feel like I cannot live without you. I'm going to give you an example. Apple. Okay. I really cannot live without Apple. I have an Apple phone, an Apple Watch. I have 2 Apple laptops. My husband has the Apple thingies. I've got I don't know how many iPads, and they're all synced together. So if I'm here, the messages come through here and here, it's all connected. I cannot live without Apple, right? They have brought a lot of value to my life. Now, when I had my brick and mortar business, I was selling smoothies and energy drinks. And when people would come, I would make sure that they knew what they were drinking. Don't just sell them things. Explain what is the value behind what they're going to receive. So my energy drinks were not really energy drinks. They were actually teas. But I would tell them, listen, we call them energy drinks for marketing, but really they got black tea, green tea, vitamin B6, B12, ginseng, ginkgo biloba. I can tell them all that, but guess what? They don't understand what any of that means. Here's what I would say. I would say, listen, these energy drinks, they're actually teas. They're going to help you have mental clarity, focus, have really good energy. Your digestive system's going to be really good. It's going to speed up your metabolism. And guess what? You're going to be in the best mood ever today. They're like, yeah, I want one of those. Okay. And guess what? They were very addicting. So I wanted people to feel like I cannot live without my drink. Okay. Why? Because I made sure that I gave them the value. How? Number 1, write this down. You want to make sure you communicate the dream outcome. What are they looking for? Okay. In other words, what are they looking for? So for example, right? When people came to my shop, they wanted energy. So I gave them that dream outcome. They're going to have energy. They're going to feel good. They're going to have, that's why I'm always so energetic. And they're going to be in the best mood ever. They're like, yes, I want that. Okay. So number 2, you want to make sure you communicate with them the perceived likelihood of achievement. Okay. So in other words, how likely will they achieve that result or that dream outcome? Okay. How likely will they achieve that dream outcome? So when they come, or it might be even how likely will they reduce the risk? Because it could be that too, okay? Depending on your business and service. But it's like when people were like, so I would tell them, and then guess what? If I was kind of very slow and I didn't have energy, and I was like, these drinks, they're going to give you energy and they're going to make you, they'd be like, yo, girl, you need to drink one yourself. Okay. So it's like, how likely are they going to achieve this outcome? So obviously this is like a little bit of an extreme example, but you want to think about for your company, your service, how can you communicate with them their likelihood of achieving this dream outcome? Guess how you're going to do it? By sharing other people's results, by communicating and highlighting testimonials of other clients, of other people that you've helped, right? So it's really important here, okay, that you document results, testimonials, and you want to make sure you actually put them out there. Okay. So that's number 2. Number 3, what is the time delay? How long will it take? Okay. What is that time delay? Like if I drink that drink, am I going to have to wait like 5 hours to like have one? I mean, to feel the energy, or am I going to feel it right away? Like what is that time delay, right? Or how much do I have to wait to be able to receive this outcome? In other words, the time, the speed of the outcome. Okay. So for example, all right, when I went to go, and switch my tires the other day, I called this one place and they're like, oh, well, if you bring it in, we won't have it to you for another 2 days. Okay. Then this other place, they're like, oh yeah, I bring it in. I'm like, how long are you going to have my car for? They're like, what do you mean? No. You bring it in an hour and a half from your appointment. You'll have it. I'm like, oh, there you go. Okay. Book me in. Okay. Why? Because the likelihood of me achieving it, I already knew these guys were specialized in the things, right? But the speed, this person was going to take a couple days. This one's going to take a couple hours. Boom. There it is, right? Here's what you want to know. You want to increase the likelihood of achievement. How likely will they receive the result? And you want to reduce the time or the speed of outcome. Okay, so you want to increase the likelihood of achievement and you want to reduce the time and the speed if you possibly can. And here's the thing. The more you increase this, the more you reduce this, people are willing to pay more money for that. Right? I'm going to give you a little extreme example. Okay. But, right. Like if I wanted to like lose 20 pounds, okay, I could go to a personal trainer and say, okay, yes. And they're like, yes, meal plan, da, 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 da. And it's going to take you about 6 months to lose that weight. Okay, great. It's going to cost me this much. Or I could go to a plastic surgeon, right? And they could be like, you want to lose 20 pounds? Oh yeah. It's going to be, you come in the morning and you'll leave skinny at night. Okay. It's going to take you about a week of recovery, but you'll be good to go in a week, 2 weeks. You'll be, like your perfect figure. Which one do you think is going to cost me more? The one that's going to take me 6 months and give me a PDF file and workouts and meal plans, or the plastic surgeon, right? Like, don't talk about the risk. Okay. I'm just talking about speed. Okay. This one I walk in heavy and 2 weeks later, I'm a Barbie. Over here, I got to work real hard. Now, this is going to still give me an outcome, but the speed of time, I can charge a lot more because this is going to be 2 weeks versus 6 months. Okay. So now, just based on this, don't be telling me like, well, yeah, Karla, but no. Okay. All right. Now, number 4. Okay. Which is the next one. And that is how much effort will it take? In other words, sacrifice. Okay. And again, the more you can reduce this, the more money it's going to cost. So again, the plastic surgeon, how much effort? Over here, I got to work, right? Over here, I just got to lay down and go to sleep, right? And I wake up skinny and a Barbie. So you want to start to, when you're thinking about these things for your business, I want you to think about how can you communicate in your marketing message, right? That when they do business with you, how they will achieve that dream outcome. What is that thing that you're selling? What is that promised land? Right? For example, if you're selling vacations, you're going to sell Hawaii. You're going to sell the climate, the water, the drinks, etc. You're not going to talk about TSA and the blah, 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 blah. No, you're going to just talk about that dream outcome, right? You want to make sure you then give them an opportunity to understand that by them doing business with you, the likelihood of them achieving that is very high. Okay. Or reduced risk, for example. Let me give you an example of that. Some things that, what does that mean? So for example, maybe you're a lawyer, right? And so you want to make sure that they understand that by them working with you, they're going to reduce the risks of XYZ. Okay. Or if you're an accountant, it's like, yeah, we do your books. Don't worry. We're going to reduce your risk of ever being in trouble with the IRS. Like these are things that people are willing to pay for because it's like, I don't want to have this risk, or I am looking for this outcome. Number 3, what's the time delay? Like making sure that people understand that by them doing business with you, can you, and be reasonable, okay, can you deliver in a way with speed? And number 4, how can you reduce the effort or the sacrifice? How can you give it, I don't want to say easy, but how can you have it be, how can they experience ease? Okay. How can they experience ease? All right. So, okay, here's what you want to write down. You want to make sure, if you can, to make it easy, risk-free, fast, towards the outcome that they want. So when you're talking about this message, if you can, if the message allows itself to say, hey, you know what? Not easy in the sense that they're not going to have effort, but like, how can you give the experience that it's ease doing business with you? It's going to be kind of like risk-free. In other words, they're going to make sure that doing business with you, they will have certainty that they can receive that outcome. And that by them working with you, it's going to happen faster than if they do it by themselves. All right. All right. Last but not least. Okay. So we got this, the value. Now, how are we going to track all of this? Because here's the thing. You want to write this down. If you don't track it, you don't care. What, Karla? Listen, I'm talking to myself too, okay? If you don't track it, it's because you don't care. So I'm going to share with you really quick. So I hired a personal trainer and he gave me a meal plan and I was following the meal plan. So I thought, okay. And I wasn't really losing weight. I was so frustrated. Then we switched over to tracking the macros. So I was given a meal plan. I had to eat certain meals. Then I was tracking the macros. And so I was kind of following the same meal plan, but now tracking like individually. And one day it was like, I don't even know what time it was, but the point is I was almost out of calories and I still had like 50 grams of protein to eat. And my husband goes, wait, what? And I go, oh my gosh, I only have 200 calories. I forgot what it was. 200 calories. And if you go to my Instagram, you can watch it. It's called Track It. And I have 50 grams of protein to eat and only 200 calories. And my husband's like, are you following your meal plan? I'm like, yes. He's like, how is it that you're following your meal plan and your numbers are off? Like, I'm like, I don't know. Well, because I had almonds here, a piece of avocado there, Are they all healthy? Yes. Nevertheless, they were calories. Nevertheless, they were fats. Nevertheless, they were good fats, but they were not in my meal plan. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I haven't lost weight the last 2-3 months, because I was following the meal plan and putting a little extra stuff in there. Okay. Even though it was healthy, it was still an excess of calories. And in this case, fats. And so I realized that unless you track it, you don't know how you're doing. And I'm going to tell you something. Most entrepreneurs don't like this part. They hardly track anything. We hardly know how things are going. We hardly know if things are working because we're just in the grind of things. So I'm going to give you a way to track it that is very simple. Now, of course, like if you want to really dive into this, there's a thing called KPIs, key performance indicators, and you want to do something like that, reach out. Okay. Reach out and we can have a call and I can see if that's something we can help you with, because the more you know about the numbers in your business and how they're converting, the better you're going to be able to not only predict, but also accelerate the things that are working. But if you don't know what's working, you don't know where to put your money in. Okay. But I'm going to give you a very simple formula. All right. And that is how to communicate, how to track it in a very easy way. Okay. Number 1, write this down. Okay. And that is the percentage of people or items. Okay. So I'm going to just say people, but you could be items, right? So here, let me do this. Items or people. Depends on what you're tracking, right? Number 2. Okay. Achieved outcome. Oops. Achieved, let's just say X outcome. Okay. So number 2, achieved outcome. Number 3, after Y time. Okay. After Y time. And number 4, with Z conditions. This is how you're going to track your testimonials. Okay. So this is how you can also communicate more effectively in your marketing when you're talking to people about what you can do for them and how you can help them reach their dream outcome, right? So number 1 is, what is the percentage of people or items in this case, right, that have had this result in this type of time under these conditions? So let me explain. If you are a personal trainer, okay, because see, weight is so easy, right? So if you're working with people, or let's say you're a coach, right? Or whatever, you put your business into it, okay? You're going to say, okay, look, you know what? Like the people that come to me, you see, okay, I have 10 clients, and out of those 10 clients, 7 of them are, because 3 of them are like Karla and they eat extra calories, okay? 7 of them are like really doing it, okay? So 70% of my clients, right, achieved X result, okay? Maybe you have like a weight loss challenge or something like that, and you're like, achieve this result, okay, in 21 days, in 6 weeks, or whatever it is, right? With Z conditions. And they were all business professional women that were super busy. Don't be like they were busy and they were moms and that they had blonde hair and curly eyes. No, don't do that. Okay. Keep the conditions simple, because then they'll be like, well, because I'm not a mom. Well, no. Keep it simple. Now, could you have different categories? For example, could you have a category where the conditions are stay-at-home moms, right? So let's say stay-at-home moms. 80% of the women, I don't know, lost 10 pounds in 6 weeks, and they were all stay-at-home moms, right? So now you're feeding and speaking into that demographics. So you want to make sure you have these like trackable outcomes for the different markets that you have. So I'm going to share, for example, myself. Okay. I had a mastermind, and there were 12 people showed up. So 12 people that were in the program. Okay. Out of those 12 people that were in the program, 2 of them, pretty much, they were not entrepreneurs, but they were intrapreneurs, have now gone on to be their business owners, right? So I don't know what that percentage is. I'm not going to do the math right now, but whatever that percentage is. Okay. Of 20% of the people that joined my program, achieved so much knowledge and conviction and certainty in themselves that they were able to, this was in April, so April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, within 6 months, they were able to start their own business and now be completely self-employed. And this 20% of these women were all single moms, because they were. Okay. So start to think about how can you start to track certain things in your business, so that when you're sitting in front of a client and they're like, well, I don't know, then you could say, boom, bring some testimonials up. Say, listen, let me share with you, let's say she's a single mom. Let me share with you some of the people that have worked with me. Back in April, I ran a 6-week mastermind group. And of those, we had 12 women that were in the program. 10 of them were already entrepreneurs, but the 3 women that were in there were intrapreneurs, meaning that they were, that they worked for companies, but they had like their own little business in the company. And within 6 months, 2 out of those 3 women actually started their own business and now have gone on to, follow their dreams of being entrepreneurs, because they had the certainty and that know-how. And both of those women are single moms. So if they can do it, I know you can do it, right? So that's how I would speak to somebody who is a single mom who wants to launch their own business, right? And so I would probably go in a little more into detail, letting you know, like, in that program, they learned how to, start getting their business going to create some momentum, so that they could leave their job in a responsible way and have money saved so that they could take that leap and be their own boss, right? So you can use this in so many different ways, but if you don't have the numbers and you don't have the statistics, it's going to be a little hard for you to be able to communicate those effectively. Okay. So in conclusion, okay, let's recap here a little bit. One of the things you want to make sure every time you're doing your marketing, you want to make sure that as you're pouring out there, that your message is, people don't know who I am, don't know what I do, don't know how it works, don't have a lot of time, and keep it simple, right? Have a 3rd grade education. So every time you create a message, keep those things in mind. Let people know who you are. Let them know what you do. Let them know how it works. And do it in a way where it's not like it's long copy. Make sure that people are in a hurry, and keep it simple. Clear beats clever, and deletion beats explanation. In other words, don't overcomplicate it. 4 ways to promote: one-on-one with the people that you know, one-on-one with the people that you don't know, one-to-many people that you know, one-to-many people that you don't know. Okay. So the 4 ways you can start to promote. Once you get that going, you want to make sure you're communicating inside of your message to give them value. Number 1, what is that dream outcome that people will have when they're doing business with you? What is the perceived likelihood of them achieving that dream outcome? What is that time delay that they will have to experience by doing business with you to get that dream outcome again, right? And how can we reduce the effort / sacrifice to make it easier or faster to get to that dream outcome by working with you? So dream outcome, perceived likelihood of achievement. What is the time delay? How long is it going to take? And how much effort / sacrifice will they need to endure to get to that dream outcome? Okay. Then track it. Okay. Make sure you're tracking it by the percentage of people / items, right? Percentage of people that achieved X in Y time under Z conditions. So I hope you find this helpful. Like I said, this video is on top of the previous video, but if you haven't seen that last video, make sure you go back and watch it because it sets the foundation for this. Okay. And if you haven't already, please subscribe and leave a comment if you like these types of videos. If you want us to do more of these kind of like teaching videos and / podcasts. And like I say, every week I show up for you. My only request is that you show up for us. Please share this podcast with 2 or 3 people that you know can benefit from this. And with that said, we will see you next week.